Okay, so the engine light has been coming up on this XR6, and so I got the codes from when I the mechanic that did the roadworthy, great guy, Paul. He said that it was the O2 sensors. So this is going to be a video on changing out the O2 sensors. There are there are two O2 or oxygen sensors on the exhaust. There's one just near your exhaust manifold, so on one side of the cat, and then there's another one on the other side of the cat. Now, this is a tool I got. It has a gap on one side of the socket to allow the wire to easily go on one side while you get to the nut side of things. This is the position of where the first O2 sensor is on the exhaust. I never changed this originally. I just taped up the wire a bit more. So it is time to remove her. Now, on the 2010 XR6, these are pretty easy to get to. Sometimes they're in a harder position if they're in an older model of maybe the BA. I think they're a slightly harder position. Maybe not. I don't know, but I think they were a slightly bit further back. Anyway, or the heat shield was in the way or a little bit. I think you have to take the heat shield on the older Barra engines. Anyway, so you can see how this slips on. It's great for it's a great tool. They're only just over $20 at any local car parts store. So anyway, you'll need, most of the time these lock on pretty tight because of obviously the hot heat, but you'll need some sort of crack bar for it too. So that'll go on the end of your ratchet to get it. So yeah, very good tool. It definitely fits well. And this is my Jimmy bar. Is it? That's sort of like a slang term for crack bar or whatever you want to call it. That helps you have the leverage to be able to open tight nuts and stuff like that. So this is her. It actually wasn't too bad cracking it very much. That's it. That's cracked. That's all it is. But look at that. That it had a lot of carbon built up in this engine. So yeah, you can see why the O2 sensor was sending off codes when it can't analyze the oxygen that it's supposed to do while it's driving along. Okay, so that's how bad it is. The good thing with the replacement part, it had if you get a replacement part, especially around all the hot areas, you want a sort of anti-seize grease on it. With these replacement parts, you can see around the very thread that they put some anti-seize on there already. I've seen videos where people have to put it on separate, so it's always good to have a anti-seize around the thread. So removal of it later on after being cooked for so long in a very hot area can sort of almost do like a little semi-weld onto there with the thread. So it's good to have that grease on there to prevent that from happening. Okay, so I'm just going to start this up and just have a listen to without the oxygen sensor in it. As you can see the park light on and the engine light stuck on there. Now this is just installed the new oxygen sensor. Just showing you how it, the grease definitely helps with it turning as well in there. So now I just need to tighten it up with the oxygen sensor socket. And you just want to do it not overly tight, but you want to nip it up pretty good so it doesn't obviously come out. Now this is the location for the second O2 sensor. They're not too bad. They're sort of like a little bit up in the sort of the narrower area of the transmission, just above. It's very close to where the front of the gearbox is, sort of midway maybe, from what I can recall when I was doing this. But it's just a small little push-out clip thing that will pop out. You can do this pretty much one-handed. Just got to get to the lip, the actual, yeah, it goes upwards to pull it out on that one. And this is just a photo of the second O2 sensor. It does look a little bit like it's got a lot of dirt around it, and it's a lot more skinny than the replacement part. So I end up at that stage just leaving it on. And yeah, it was a lot. I don't know if that was an original O2 sensor on there, or if it's just yeah. I couldn't even find like a hex head to remove it with. It was just caked on with a bit of I don't know if it was dirt or just build up of rust or something like that. But it was definitely not the same part, so I left that one on. So as you can see, that last one was way too big for what's on this one. I don't know, because I'm not obviously expert on XR6s. I don't know if that's an original O2 sensor. It's a lot smaller than the one that I got from Burson's. You should pay me some money, Burson's, for saying Burson's on the channel. Anyway, so I've connected the battery. I had it disconnected for 10 minutes to try and wipe the engine light. I just want to see how she goes. This is the first start since, so let's just see how we go. Turn the radio down. Okay, let's start her up. Take the park off. Oh, that's really good news. The light's gone. Fantastic. So I'll take the other sensor back, but I'll be looking into it anyway. Well, that's where the locations of those sensors are for everyone. That may be getting the O2 oxygen sensor code, and I mean the engine light can come up for a lot of different reasons, but that was coming up on the scanner at the mechanics. So, and you saw how bad that black, the carbon on that, the original old one, well, if it's original, I don't know. Ever since I've got it, that's how it's always been on here. So yes, that is fantastic news, to eliminate it even just with one. So I can take the other one back, and you know, in the near future or something like that, might get a absolute brand new exhaust for the whole thing anyway. But yeah, for the Viv is tomorrow, Monday, so it's Sunday today. It'll be interesting. I'm gonna still attach to this video all the paperwork that you need as well, just for people that are, I've tried to look on YouTube videos for Vivs, and there's not a massive amount of information there for people that are unfamiliar with them. So hopefully this video with the Viv, getting the roadworthy, getting a statutory repair write-off that you can repair, hopefully this helps you out if you ever go to the auctions and try to grab one. So let's give a bit more information after this inside the car, and we'll go from there, and yeah, all good. Okay, so part of the Viv, you've got to get a wheel alignment, balance on front and back. So it's like this, and it's got to be a coloured report. I got this through Tyre Power, which done a very good job. That's part of it. One second.
Next is a Vic Roads roadworthy to get your Viv, but what they'll do is they'll mark it as a pending. But you got to let Vic Roads know that you need that done. All right, that it needs a Viv, so they'll mark it as pending. It's called it's almost, I think they call it a failed pending, but they don't pass it, but they've looked at it. Next, you need what they call a car history report and a PPSR. That's next. 1 second. Okay, so yeah, those two reports you need. With this vehicle, it was only the sump that had a hole in it, and the transmission had transmission pan had a little bit of a dent, which I fixed up if you look at the videos. This is the pick apart receipt. You need receipts for the parts that you replace. Also, you obviously need a receipt for the car, how much you paid for it. You need to print off a registration check. So you just type in the rego or VIN number. Vic Roads, that's all for free. You just need to do that, send it to your email, blah, blah, blah. That's your registration check. So you need a registration check to do as part of the check. And of course, you need your obviously booking to go to get your Viv. Now, other things. Now, this is what we got it off Mannheim Auctions, where you pick up the car, came up with the VIN, and then these are the advertised pictures of when you're buying the car, so they want those. And then I took photos off the video I uploaded of the hole in the sump and getting another sump. So that's the old one, the reconditioned one, or the one I fixed up, painted. Yeah, there's all the painted version. That's a before and after. I like seeing pictures of that it's been repaired, and then the engine going back in, oil pan being drained, oil pan being fixed, and back in with the oil pan being taken out with the dent and painted. So that's another thing they like to see. Okay, so tomorrow, leaving at 6:30 in the morning. That's what you got to do, unfortunately, in Victoria with the crazy traffic we got. And yeah, next is the Viv. At the car wash. Just before taking it in for the Viv, thought I'd give it a good wash. It's at the Clean Bay Car Wash, Sydney Road. Now time to give her a wash off. Here we go. And now she's nice and clean. Here we go. Okay, so I got the Viv back. It is very sad news. For all the work and effort I have put towards this car. I'll let you know whether, probably just by the tone of my voice, whether it's worth trying to repair a repairable write-off, and give you some information on other information I found out as well, which is negative and positive, and I'll tell you about that. Now, I went through the Niscare Viv place. This is how much they charge. That's prior to the booking fee. It's a nice $430 just for that. Now, this is a 2010 model FG XR6. It's fully roadworthy. It passed its roadworthy prior to getting a Viv, right? So this is the bit of nonsensical situation this car's in, because if a Vic Roads authorised roadworthy repairer or roadworthy certificate holder passes a car to be roadworthy, I must emphasise that word, roadworthy, meaning it's safe to be on the road. This is in a catch-22 situation. Anyway, so this is the report. I'm not going ahead with getting it on the road. I've burnt too much money already on this vehicle, and time and effort, and just being sent through the ringer with this machine. But it's good for you guys who ever watch my channel or come across my channel about Vivs, because there really isn't a lot of information about what you got to do, what you have to go through, and all that sort of thing. So being almost a 15-year-old car, the Viv practically, what I believe is they practically want to really put a message out there to not repair them, to send them to their grave. Really, that's what it comes down to. They should just deem all repairable write-offs write-offs, because it's more or less I think it comes down to they just want to try and make as much money, almost like buying a new car again, because the amount of things you have to go through is just phenomenal. Now I'll just show you a little bit of the checklist. 1 second. Okay, so just because I can't really see the writing too well under this lighting, but I'm going to use my magnifying glass. So, oops, that doesn't help with the camera. Yeah, so saying, okay, these are, I got, what is it? There's about eight points, but there's other more or less highlighted text underneath those points. So saying that there's the engine splash tray is missing. It needs a manufacturer repair guidelines for replacement with make and model and year documented still to go. Measurement report with colour photos of vehicle on machine and tax invoice. Structural reports signing off on all repairs, and second opinion on right hand floor pan upper and lower with colour photos and tax invoice. A colour for wheel alignment report, which I already submitted, but don't know why he already put that down again, or he didn't look at the information or something. A repair tax invoice for the following: a transmission oil sump, which I told him at the start that I repaired it myself, and obviously, yeah, I haven't got a tax invoice for that. Right hand side floor pan was fixed already. Fitment tax invoice for engine oil sump. There's no tax invoice. I did it myself. Damage found in the following areas: a K-frame, right hand floor pan, right floor pan, right hand floor rail, dint in the muffler. Like, what muffler doesn't have any sort of dints? Right hand floor brace. Have left hand, right hand front guards liners removed so they can sight them. Inspect and photograph. Second inspection. Now, it says, note, excessive rust in the following areas. Now, mind you, I have been through this whole entire body, and there's jack all rust. If there's any sort of rust, it would be very fine surface rust. If you look at prior videos, I washed and jet washed the entire underneath of that car. Left hand inner quarter, left hand right sill, back panel, left hand front and right hand front floor box, left hand and right hand skirts and shotgun panel. Note, has damage in the following areas: bottom grille, bonnet, right and left guards, front bar, rear bar, and boot lid. It is ridiculous. So these are on the back of it. these are little photos that they've attached. If you look at every single car, they all have, they're asking for these little dents to be removed, like from jack. In 15 years, people change tires, and so all these little dents and stuff like that are pretty much mainly from probably changing tires, wheels, amateur people not flaming, jacking up cars in the right spots, all that sort of stuff, right? But it doesn't affect the performance of the car. It's not structural, as in it's changing the shape of the car. Like little stuff like that. It's just, and then they give you this thing where they can refer you to different people who do different things. So, Ultimate Collision Centre, Thomastown, Tullamarine. Now, even from that, and they do the work, they can still, when I get back for, say, a second inspection, if I did this, I can still knock it back and say, no, it's not good enough. Go to somewhere else. It doesn't end. The actual money, tax invoice, and all that sort of stuff does not end. But the amount of things like that you literally have to try to get this to pass on a Viv is phenomenal. Yeah, just crazy stuff. Yeah, so down the bottom here, that's the recheck, $280. So not only is the other payment of $430, $436, it's like $720 or something like that, give or take. It's just, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And when it comes down to the roadworthy, the authorised repair centre that did my original roadworthy for it, and it's all passed, to then have a Viv and then get knocked back. I mean, if a car's roadworthy, it's roadworthy. To pick on every little nook and dent and scratch and all that sort of stuff is just ridiculous. I mean, Vic Roads needs to just write them off, period, not have these repairable write-offs. Now, the other information I was going to say is, with the negative and positive, is I said to the guy, after 15 years, you don't need a Viv, even if it required a Viv originally, right? So after 15 years, when the car's 15 years old, you don't need a Viv, right? So I said to him after after the car was rejected and didn't pass, I said, don't worry about the re-inspection. I said, I'll just put a cover over it for 2 years. He goes, his advice was that because I have put it in for a Viv, it's now in the system that it'll be on hold until it passes a Viv, even after the 15 years. Now, I do not know if that's true. I am going to be contacting Vic Roads in Geelong, which deal with the Viv inspections after they go for one and stuff like that. Once they pass and stuff, they got to check it as well for some reason. Too much people involved in this one process. But I'm going to just double check and verify that, and I'll do a video in the future because I'm going to physically go into the Vic Roads there, and cause it's better talking face to face. If that's true, or I think as far as a computer system goes, if the system comes up with saying a Viv's not required or whatever after 15 years, I think that it doesn't matter if it needs a Viv, went through a Viv, all that sort of stuff. I personally think that the computer will just say it doesn't need a Viv, so it's only needing a roadworthy. So that's what I'm hoping the outcome is. I'll definitely do a video in the future, but this is where I'm at with the XR6 at the moment, and just ridiculous stuff. Really ridiculous. I mean, even when it comes to, what's it say? It's saying right and left guards. What does it say? Have damage. There's no damage on them. There is absolutely no damage on them. I'll just for the sake of that, right? Right and left guards has damage in the following areas. I mean, it doesn't even say where the damage. Where's the damage? They're all nice and flaming polished up and all that sort of stuff. Look at this for a second. So look at that. I just came inside after just showing the two guards. Like, nothing wrong with them. Absolutely nothing wrong with them. False information. Right and left guards. Note, has damage in the following area. So that just, the bonnet, it's got like a little bit of on the that little sort of garnish that's at the very front of the FG bonnets. One clip is missing, so it's stick out just a little bit. The boot lid, yeah, slight dent in the back. It was there anyway. It's not major damage, and it doesn't affect the ride of the car. Rear bar, yeah, it's got some scratches and needs some. Probably needs another bar eventually. But if I took it to a paint shop and stuff like that, they could just buff it out, or just give it a quick respray. Yeah. Front bar. I've done the whole bar. I've got a whole video on doing that bar. That bar looks great. It's slightly different colour, but that's probably what they're picking on as well. Like, it's not a brand new car, and it's not coming straight off the factory floor. You have to expect that it has some wear and tear in its age. It's nearly a 15-year-old car. Far out. So, yeah, that's the end of this informational video, except for when I talk to Geelong. I'll just do a small video later on. But yeah, guys, girls, just I'm just dumbfounded on how I've read up on how, yeah, very particular they can get in there. But I understand if it was, you know, a serious issue when you're driving the car and it could do some damage out there to someone else or something. But that car rides perfect. It accelerates nice. The boy, she's got some nice power in that, in an engine that had low oil pressure. It drove comfortable. It accelerated great. But that was actually the first time I actually drove it for a bit of distance, except for being straight to the roadworthy place. And beautiful. It drove really, really well. Yeah, it's a shame for all this red tape that they surround a vehicle. Now, if a vehicle's been really like hit up the wazoo and really seriously damaged, and you know half its rear was crushed in and all that, I understand a bit more of the closer look inspection. But for a car that was deemed a repairable write-off due to a hole in the oil sump and a slight dent on the transmission pan, is pathetic. And this video is just clarifying how much they're going to look at the car, regardless if you even had like even a small crack in your headlight. That they'll do the whole thing. They'll check everything on the car. That the actual time frame he wanted was 4 hours to look at the car. It's not a quick process. We dropped it off at what time was it? Just before 8:30, and didn't get the car back till just after 4:30. That's how long they had the car for a original engine sump and transmission issue. So yeah, I'll definitely be letting you guys know what's the outcome of what happens to the car in the future. But for now, it's just going to have to be parked up and put a cover on it until it either, if I decide to sell it for whatever I can get for it, or parking it up. Like if I find information from Vic Roads to say, you know, 2025, that regardless, there's nothing the Viv will affect on this car, whether it's so-called on hold because it's been through one or whatever, something like that. I'll keep it. I'll keep it for that time. I'll just park it up, put a cover over it, and chop it up instead of sitting on the wheels. But yeah, it's a very big disappointment as far as doing all the work that I've done, trying to save a car that would have ended up in the wreckers, and now I do understand why they end up in the wreckers. Sad but true. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helps you if you ever decide to get a car with a Viv attached to it. Just remember it. If the car's over 15 years old and it was originally deemed that it needed a Viv, you don't need to worry about the Viv side of things. So just check on the age of it. Add 15 years to its life. If it says that it needs a Viv, you know that now, 15 years later, it doesn't need a Viv. So this is only 2 years off being not needing a Viv. So that just shows you how stupid it is as far as what's 15 years got to do with the car. Just being older, it's not going to change anything as far as the car. If not, it's going to get worse. So this is how stupid it is. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helped you out with information about repairable write-offs, like it has for me. Cheers.